My husband was in an accident at work, and it was life-changing for us, and Colleen just showed up. She didn't even ask me if I needed her. She just showed up. And something happened, and I knew something happened, but I didn't know quite what. But it was exactly what I needed to have happen at that time in my life. There was something very solid. There was something very safe. There was something very nurturing. And it happened effortlessly without me asking for it, and I think without her even trying to give it. It's just what happened by her showing up. Shortly after that, and not too very long ago, I asked Colleen if she would be in that most awesome role in my life. And it is, for me, the most awesome role anyone holds in my life, because it's only with this role that I'm able to have a life of any kind of quality, and that is she became my sponsor. Since that time, every time I have an opportunity to spend time with her, effortlessly, on my part or hers, I truly believe, I walk away with some new skill that I can immediately apply to my life that works. I believe she got that as a direct result of these steps and traditions and applying it on a regular basis in her life, because I don't think that something that carries that kind of weight, that kind of magnitude, and that kind of result in my life could come fake from her. It's real, she's real, and I want you to have some of what I get, Colleen.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm an addict. Woo-hoo. Really grateful to be alive and clean in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Woo. I got to tell you, every time I'm asked to do this, my body goes through major changes. Like, I think I have to go to the bathroom. My eyes get all watered up, and I always think I'm going to throw up. The last time I told the chair of a convention that I thought I was going to throw up, he gave me a puke bucket. So I don't share that with people anymore. But that's like really, and the feelings never change for me. It always remains the same. My body, 3 hours ago, people would be, how you doing? I'm doing fine. I'm doing good. 2 hours ago, not so good. 20 minutes ago, can we go a little faster during the readings? Will someone open that goddamn door so he'll stop knocking? There's a sick and suffering addict out there that wants to get in here, When I was asked to speak, I was told it was the spiritual meeting. I've been to enough conventions to understand what they were saying, but it says on here, the closing speaker, so I'm really grateful for that. It takes a little bit of the pressure off, Oh my gosh. What a great area you guys are. The region, I'm in the Georgia Regional Convention. Thank you so much for thinking of me, for even really, I'll be back. This has been an amazing experience for me. As you can tell from my accent, I'm not from Georgia. I'm from South Carolina. Sometimes I have to ask my friends in South Carolina to spell words because we have a language barrier going on. I'll say something, they think I'm saying something else that I'm not saying, but it's just not happening. So I'm from New York, duh, right? I work at a front gate of an outdoor botanical sculpture garden. And whenever people come through, they come from all over the world, they'll always pull up and they'll always go, "You're not from here, are you?" And I always say, "No, I'm from Georgia." I don't know why, but that's what I always say. And then they look at me like, all like inquisitive and stuff, But it's always when I say, "You're gonna, go down, keep going about a mile down the road in the Welcome Center. That's where you're going to go." It's like, that's my dead giveaway. But I spoke at a convention in Tennessee once, and when I got done, they said they didn't understand. Well, actually, I was looking at all you people, and you were all looking at me really weird. And when I got done, I said, they were all staring at me really weird. And she said, "That's because nobody understood a freaking word you said. You talk way too fast." So when we did the Serenity Prayer, she would tap me on the shoulder so I would slow down, I think I've gotten slower, and I think that I speak clearer than I used to, and I hope that's true. So if there's a word that you don't understand, just raise your hand and I'll spell it for you. I'm so grateful for this process, and I'm grateful. This has been an amazing convention for anybody that's been here all weekend. This has been amazing for me. I have learned so much. And if you spend any time in the hospitality room, you know that those people work their butts off. Not that anybody else in the convention didn't, but thank you for always having a hot cup of coffee for me. And thank you for reminding me I can only have one Danish because there are other people in the room, you know? But like when I come to a convention, I need to get connected. Like that's for me. And sometimes I work really hard to like seek it out. Like, I learn by how you guys are. So like if I come here and I'm being shunned by you, then I got to go home because you people do that, meaning me too, right? If I sit down, I try and talk to you and you're like, yeah, nice to talk, but yeah, I'm going to talk to my friend, because that's who I know, Then when I go home, I have to remember that I have to pay attention to that. That's what I have to pay attention to because that's what's coming to my face. When you come into my home group, if I don't know you, it's my responsibility as a home group member to get up and greet you. It's my responsibility, whether you have 45 years or 2 days clean. That's the way that I was raised, and that's what I was taught to do. So come into this convention this weekend, and I've seeked it out really hard sometimes because of my uncomfortability. I know very few people here, but the people that I know are very dear to my heart. And by being here again, we've gotten to know each other even better. But like as soon as we got here, we got here Thursday night, but so Friday morning, and we went into the hospitality room because that's what we do. And like instantly, it was just like, it was so easy. It was such a beautiful flow. I don't even know if they're here anymore. They probably went home. Most people do go home by now, so thank you for staying. Marty was like to me last night, being a Sunday morning speaker sucks. Thanks, Marty. Yay! But anyway, so these two people, Jen and Robert, walked in, and they sat down, and we had amazing conversations with them, and we shared our experience, strength, and hope with each other, and we talked about what we did in our lives, and, what do you do for a living, what do I do for a living, what you used to do for a living before the disease of addiction took it away from you, how long are you clean, where do you want to live, what are your dreams, like where else in the world do you get to go but in Narcotics Anonymous and sit down at a table with strangers and talk about your dreams and your hopes? Only here, man, only here, Narcotics Anonymous has certainly, and I'm going to, I've learned that I can't worry about what I'm saying up here because when I start thinking I need to filter and I need to worry about what I'm saying up here, then I can't say anything. I get up here and I can give you the 90 meetings in 90 days, get a sponsor, call that sponsor, which is part of my story. But like the person that I am is that I'm going to get up here and I'm going to tell you what's going on in my life, how you affected me this weekend, who I bumped into, how you hurt me, what stupid thing you said and what wonderful thing that you did, how I'm living my life today and how I need to improve it. And one of the things that I got from this convention is things like I learned so much, things that I need to not necessarily improve, but expand. Like I sat and like I said, some phenomenal meetings, and I learned all weekend. That's amazing. And it only makes me want more. It makes me want more. And like I grabbed people after they spoke on certain things. I went to the I think it was the 12 Tradition 12 Concept meeting, and there were two amazing men that shared their experience, strength, and hope, and had amazing willingness to share things that I have no knowledge of with me after the meeting, and we even grabbed them later on. But it's really funny because sitting in there, like I was thinking about it because they were like, wow, there's 20 people here. This is amazing, And I'm like, yeah, I love these meetings. When I first got clean, though, I really used to go into tradition meetings just so I could say, yeah, I was like the only one in the tradition meetings. Like, like it was like the status thing. I really wasn't interested, but I knew that that's what I was supposed to be interested in. So I would go there and be bored out of my mind. And I mean, that's just the truth, Today in my life, I go there because I want to learn, because I need to expand this thing. So it was funny because when he said that, it kind of brought back for me because I that's my truth. I have to tell you how I got here and the process of my way of thinking. If I bullcrap you, I'm going to get absolutely nowhere, So, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, not knowing something I think I'm supposed to know, or it's uncomfortable telling my truth when I'm afraid it might not be your truth. Do you know what I mean? Like there are certain things that I was raised at, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it was given to me. And again, this weekend, sitting in that history gallery, God, I just went in there and sat down just because what was going on in there, just the knowledge that was just in that room. And I mean, it was unbelievable. And again, this is one of those things, I don't know what the hell else to call you, my predecessors. You're my predecessors. If that offends you, I'm sorry. I don't know what the right word would be, but like, thank God that these people came in here and took the time to do the insanity. You talk to people, with 40, 30 years clean, it's a little bit different. They really took care of a lot of the nonsense for us, you know what I mean? Even the insanity, it used to be just don't use no matter what. I don't care if you go to a hooker, I don't care, And I mean, and that's, today we take these principles and we actually apply them in our life, like it says, right there. The NA way of life, right? That's my new way of life, the NA way of life. The way that I used to live is nothing like the way that I live today. You know what I mean? I was thinking about it, because that's what I do. Oh my God, I woke up at a little after 6, and I thought, God, not yet. Because I knew once I woke up, I was going to start thinking, what am I going to say? And this is what I look like. I start thinking in my head, then I'm like, no. Shut up. It's God's message. Then I'll start doing it again. No. It's it's just insanity, because if I start thinking, then I'm going to start saying this and saying that, it's gone. I've lost you. I've lost me. I'm not giving you me, because this is it, baby. This is it. It doesn't get much better than that. I'm the girl that put the white napkin on her lap last night and had white lint all over my skirt, and I could not relieve the obsession and compulsion to have to get that. Bill was making fun of me. I just, you know what? So that's what I'm focusing on today. That's pretty darn good, making fun of me that I can't get past the image thing, but really, I'm not thinking about getting loaded today. That's not what I'm thinking about. I didn't come to this morning. I woke up. So I should be grateful that it was so early in the morning, and that I had a clear, functioning mind, and that I could actually think, shut up, Colleen. Enough's enough, I was introduced to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous by the helpline. So in the area that I got clean in, the New York region, when you called up, there's and I don't know if it still stands that way today, because I haven't lived in that region for 5 years now. I left, came back, that's all part of my story. But when I called and I picked up the telephone, I called the operator and I said, I can't stop using and I need help. And she connected me to Narcotics Anonymous. That still makes me go, that makes my eyes leak, that blows me away. I'm in the middle of the night, I want to die, I think I'm going to have a heart attack, and I asked the operator for help, and she gave me you. That's who she gave me. Now, I wasn't ready for you yet, but I still called, I still picked up the phone, I still called, you answered, you talked me down so I could hang up the phone and continue to get high. You told me you'd meet me, You told me that you'd meet me, and I said I'd be there, but I didn't show up, But then I started using this phone as a tool for when I was too high and I couldn't function. Sometimes I'd call my friend in California because the hours are different, She used to tell me, God, you scared me. But I would call you guys, and you would always answer the phone, and you wouldn't ever say, look, this is the 6th time you've called, we're done. Never. And do I know if it was the same person? I couldn't tell you any of that nonsense. I wasn't clean. I do know I called, you answered the phone, and you told me where to go. And I do know that one day I showed up. And when I showed up, you were all there. And then I was like, I'm not staying here. You know what I mean? Suddenly I was I had it all together. You know what I mean? I was sitting there. And I did that back and forth thing of coming in and out, and I can't tell you how long it was. I make up a different time every time I share. It felt like forever. It was somewhere within a year that I was coming to Narcotics Anonymous, showing up at the same meeting on Saturday. There was this guy who stood in front of the room, and he wore all black, the uniform. He wore all black every week, probably just because that's what he wore. And I thought he was Mr. NA, and that was his uniform. I really believed that. I thought this guy woke up one day and said, I'm going to help all the junkies in the world and come meet me here Saturday morning, But I would go there. I would know something was happening, but I would just leave. I would go get high, but I would show up. And I lived with other people, and I remember telling my sister-in-law one day, I go to these meetings, man, they talk about the same stuff that we talk about, but I think they actually do it. I think they actually follow through, And she ended up, she actually ended up going to a meeting before I did. She showed up there before I did and came back and talked about it, Really, that's really the way it went. God, this getting older shit, I'm telling you. Anyway, so we were going to Narcotics Anonymous and we were judging you, you know? And then we started looking at the guys. That's just the reality of it, you know? Like, you know, we're married, by the way, just saying, you know? But whatever brings you home. My sister-in-law and my brother, myself and my husband all lived in the same house together. I left a year before I got clean because he was the problem. So I had to go get myself my own little sleazy basement apartment and drag my kids out of their home and bring them there. And it wasn't a home anyway. It doesn't, I mean, my addiction is no different than your addiction. You know, the war story is we lost and now we're here. You know what I mean? But we were the dealers. I thought it was cool. I married the dealer. How wonderful for me. Isn't that just great, you know? Out of the deal, I did get 2 wonderful, wonderful children, you know? So like, that's like the way that I lived now, then. Now, in May, I'm going to be married to the same man for 25 years. And I'm loyal, honey, I'm loyal. And I don't even have to tell him that. He knows. Isn't that really cool, you know? It's really nice to actually wake up and know where I am, and to actually know who I'm with, and to know how I want to live, you know what I mean? And how I want to live is I want to live this way. And it's really nice for me to know that I'm allowed to be human, and I'm allowed to make mistakes, and I'm allowed to grow and expand, and that I don't have to feed into all that bull crap that's going on. I don't have to feed into all the noise that goes on. I get very caught up in the, because we're a little obsessive compulsive kind of people. I'm going to just say it, the whole Facebook thing, you know, like I get very caught up in that, and the Facebook balls that people have, and the stuff that people say that they would never say to your face, and all the animosity that's going on. That's not the Narcotics Anonymous I know, man. The Narcotics Anonymous that I know is that I walked into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and you guys killed me, keep coming back no matter what. And I really didn't know that you meant it, and I really thought you got high in the bathroom, but I still kept coming back. I still kept showing up. And one day I was in there, and things started like sounding, like I actually started getting the lingo, you know what I mean? Like our third tradition, right, man? The only requirement for membership. And when you start reading that, I was just talking about this the other day, when you start reading, like we don't get to judge what someone else's desire is. I want to all the time, by the way. I'm not perfect, you know, but I want to, but that's why we have our literature. I don't know why I have to read my basic text before I get up here, because if I don't know what I'm talking about by the time I get up here, I'm in a lot of trouble. But I always have the need, even if it's just a paragraph, to touch it so I can remember why I'm here, and that this is not about me, and that this is about the newcomer, and this is about Narcotics Anonymous and the spiritual principles that we learn here, you know? Oh, God, I just go off, and then I got to come back, and I got to remember where the hell I was. Anyway, I learned the lingo. That's where I was. She's cute as a button. I learned the lingo, and I used that to my advantage, so I thought, but I wasn't really fooling you guys. It's just like, what I kept hearing all weekend was my story. Like from no matter who shared it, someone had a piece of my story, whether it was my story in Narcotics Anonymous or my story in active addiction. But like things that I don't always normally hear, like pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. I say that all the time. I'm like, dang, he just said that, or she just said, you know what I mean? Like I heard my story all weekend, and talking about sitting in a car, right, with the windows rolled up, so when you get out, you're like Pigpen, and you think no one knows, but you have this little thing of smoke going all around your body, and you go into the bank, and you go into the school for your kids, and everyone's looking at you funny, you don't know why. You know what I mean? Like you can't figure out why. You know what I mean? Well, that's why, because they all knew that we were getting high. Just like you all knew that I was full of crap when I was coming in here and trying to use the lingo, trying to act like I know what Narcotics Anonymous is, but I wasn't clean. But you didn't judge my desire. I was showing up, and you told me to keep coming back. And sometimes we say that sarcastically, because we get tired, we get judgmental, we do, right? Yeah, keep coming back, But that's not what I heard. That's not what I heard. I heard, keep coming back. You can get this. That's what I heard. I heard you can get this. And I believed. There was something in me that believed. And I just kept coming back and kept hoping, My last night out there, I was not in my car because I didn't own one anymore, and I was at a house that I shouldn't have been at with my kids that shouldn't have been there, and they were my friends, and I took her car to go somewhere, to go do something, and they said, please, that's our only vehicle, and I was like, don't worry, I'm going to have just one. You know? Yeah, right. And I was already in that phase of my fake recovery where I was trying to do Narcotics Anonymous like the way that I thought Narcotics Anonymous needed to be done. I was not willing to give this up. I was going to do that for the rest of my life. There wasn't a problem with that. This interrupts my life, but if I say I have a problem with it, then you're going to make me give it up. But this is really hurting me. So if I don't do that, I'm going to be okay. And I tried to do that whole switch and nutshell game that we do with our disease, and it didn't work. So no matter what it was that I picked up, no matter what it was, even if I didn't pick up what I thought I wasn't supposed to pick up, I still didn't come home. I still didn't know where I was. I still blacked out. Like, I still got the same results, you know? So don't worry, I'm just going to have one because I'm going to NA meetings now, you know? And I go off, I'm going to leave, and I say to my good friend, because this is I'm seeing double, I'm going to go home now, you know? And she says, okay, you know? Because that's what we do. Talking about the NA way of life, that's not what I do today. If you're in a meeting and you're nodding out and you're in my life, I'm going to tell you you're nodding out. You know, you're going to tell me you're not, you know? But I'm going to tell you that you're nodding out. I'm going to ask you if you're okay. You're going to tell me you're just fine and, you know, you're on new medication, you know? I'm tired. I worked a double shift, you know? But your head just came 3 inches from the floor and popped back up again. Do you need a ride? You know? No, I don't need a ride. And then I'll get a phone call. I heard you accused my sponsee of getting high. No, I didn't accuse your sponsee of getting high. Your sponsee's high. You know? And I'm not going to bed tonight and putting my head on the pillow and wondering, is he okay? I'm not going to come in here tomorrow when you tell me that he wrapped his car around a tree. Go, I knew he was high. Like, what good is that? Does that make me popular? No. Do I give a crap? Sometimes I do, but I still do it. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable to stand up here and say what I believe and live the way that I believe. Sometimes it feels lonely, but that's just all I got. I found out that it was lonelier not standing up for what I believe in and trying to be a freaking chameleon in Narcotics Anonymous than it was to stand up for what I believe in. My niece just came back into the rooms in Narcotics Anonymous, and you know, she kicked in my home, she got clean, she's a little kid, she's so cute, she's 19, blah, blah, blah. She's shooting dope again after 2.5 years of being clean. So my husband's telling my brother what's going on. They live out of state because they moved her to us. We were going to take, blah, 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 right? So I'm saying my husband's telling my brother, and my brother doesn't want to hear it, that denial again, right? So I said to him, because now it's my brother and now it's family, so things are different, right? That's what I'm telling, so I said, you better back off. You don't want to piss Kevin off. And he goes, how many times have I heard you share that we don't back off? That we let, and I'm like, you know what? Like, you're right. The rules don't change with family. Sometimes I think they change with family, but they don't change with family. So the same thing, and that's what he said. I'm not going to call him up and say your daughter's in a body bag and not have told him that she's shooting dope, whether he wants to believe it or not. And we're out to dinner with them, and she's nodding, and he's like, hey, want some mashed potatoes? You know what I mean? So my friends didn't have recovery because we were actually using, so that's why she said, go home, it's okay. And I didn't make it home that night. I mean, like, is there a God in your life? Where's your higher power at? I don't, at that point in my life, I didn't know how it worked, but I just knew, So because of the examples that were given to me, I couldn't see that then. It's what I get to see now. I couldn't see that the operator was an angel. I didn't get to see that till I got clean. And I used that for a long time. I didn't get to see the people answering the phone with doing service and working principles in their life, So I take their car and I take down a fence, and the pole goes right through the windshield and is sitting next to me, and people come and pull me out, and it's this whole messy thing, and I don't know where they live, and it takes hours to get home, and it takes 2 days to find their car. It was just a mess. And I called up my sister-in-law, who I was going to meetings with, who wasn't clean either. And this is the only reason why I tell this story, because this is so key. This is so key for me. This is where this is where my bottom came. This is when I stopped digging. That's the best thing I heard in Narcotics Anonymous. I was probably like 10 years clean. My bottom is when you stop digging. So that means at any given moment, we get to make that decision. We don't have to be overdosed. We don't have to be in jail. We don't have to be 60. We don't have to be crawling on the floor. We get to choose our bottom. And then we don't judge where your bottom is. Like, I'm so glad that era is over. Oh, you never slick a needle in your arm. You don't belong here. I called up my sister-in-law and I said, Nance, this is where the whole language thing comes in. I relapsed. And she said, you never got clean, asshole, and hung up on me. For me, the most amazing part of that story is she wasn't clean either. Which used to irritate me, but now I just know it's just another one of those little mini miracles that shifted me to go where I needed to go, which was to walk into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and do the whole drama queen thing, I didn't walk in here, I crawled in here. And I meant it. If we can't laugh at ourselves, who the hell can we laugh at? I meant every word I said, you know what I mean? I felt like the lowest of low. Low self-esteem was one of my biggest enemies in my entire life. It's the enemy that brought me to the thing that made me feel like I could dance on tables at bars. It's the enemy that made me feel like every man in the room loved me and wanted me. It's the enemy that told me I can go anywhere and do anything. And when I came to and I didn't have it and I couldn't pick my head up, it's the only thing that would make me feel of worth. And then that same thing that made me feel of worth made me feel worthless. Just like that. I don't even know how it happened. I can't even tell you what the transition was. Look, I don't know. I don't know, man. So, I'm doing this whole big drama thing, and I share about this all the time. Recently, my husband made fun of me. Hard to believe. But I have big hair, and thank God for flat irons. And I had really long hair. And back when I got clean, we didn't have hair product like we have today. We didn't have the tools that we have today. Like, I used to actually use a real iron with a towel, and I used to use these big cans to try and straighten my hair, but that's a whole nother story. That's when I gave a shit. That's before I got to narcotics, that's before I got to the place where I needed to go to Narcotics Anonymous. So when I walked in there, my hair looked like a freaking pyramid. It was really long, so it just went out, And, I smelled. I didn't even know I smelled. I reeked. You know what I mean? Like, my pores reeked. And so I'm in there doing my whole drama thing with that whole low self-esteem thing. And this woman was sitting in front of me. And she turned around and she shared and she said, I admire your courage, man. I admire you. And I was like, will you be my sponsor? She had 9 months clean. And she saved my life. Because all the things that you guys talked about doing, she showed up, all that stuff we do in the beginning of the rooms that, like, sometimes we pay no attention to, especially when we've been here for a little bit of a while. We just kind of get caught up, you know what I mean? 90 meetings in 90 days, and this is my story, it never changes, I'm really sorry. Suddenly I was like, oh, I can't do 90 meetings in 90 days, I have children. Mother of the Year award, I didn't even probably know where they were then, you know what I mean? So she was like, well, where did you get high? I was like, well, I got high in front of my children. So she said, well, then recover in front of them, And thank you. The most important thing about that is that you guys allowed me to recover in front of my children, okay? The few people that were irritated by my children being there probably aren't clean anymore. And that's just the goddamn truth, okay? The people that taught me how to be a mother, that told me that I shouldn't bring toys, I bring drums, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't okay. That brought coloring books and Marty was sharing about Mr. Bill last night, that sat down with my children so the newcomer could hear the message, and you sat with my babies and you showed me how to be a mother. You didn't tell me I was a bad mother, you taught me how to be a mother. And that's important. So if the kids are bothering you in the meeting, get up off your behind, go pick up the baby and help it. Help the person sitting there, because they need to be there. They're not bringing a kid to Narcotics Anonymous because they're bored. They'd be on the playground if they were clean and they had a better place to go, And if it bothers you that much, go to another meeting. Let the newcomer be where they are, But I was blessed. I had people that taught me, So when she said, bring the kids, she followed up, man. So she was like, well, call me. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days. I'm like, I don't have a car, because remember the whole car story? That wasn't even my car, okay? The last car I had was a Pinto hatchback, okay? And it had no hatchback. I had a flapping plastic bag. Duct tape was my best friend, you know? Like last night, he's trying to duct tape the shirt up here. I used to have duct tape in my car, and I'd have to get out and, you know, read tape, you know? Because when it started leaking, the water would pour down on my lap and stuff, you know? But it was okay. My kids could go back there. It's cool, you know? So that was the last vehicle that I had, so now I don't have a car. So she was like, well, how do you cop? I'm like, I walk to the payphone. Payphone, I know, right? There's a guy in my area who loves to tell me, I was 7 days old when you got clean, you know? Thank you. So he doesn't know what a payphone is, right? Here's a quarter. That was her response to me. Here's a quarter. I used to walk down to the freaking bakery, pop my quarter in, call her up, and she'd show up. And when she couldn't show up, she sent someone else. I mean, the meetings, you know, they weren't far, but they were like 25 minutes away. So she's driving 25 minutes to me and 25 minutes back. You know, when I got clean, I was lucky enough. I got clean February 8th, 1989. I was lucky enough, yeah. Hey! Yeah, whatever. I was lucky enough that, there was a meeting every day. There was a meeting in Long Island every day, and only a few years before, the people that came before me told me they'd have to go to Jersey and Pennsylvania. They'd have to travel. They'd get in the car and have to go across states to get a meeting every day. So thank you again for doing all that show up with the four of you guys in the room and making each other coffee, you know, in green cups. I love that. So everything this woman told me, man, she followed through on. You know, and I was able to go in there, and every day she would say to me, are you clean? And I go, no. Like I'm practicing honesty and I'm all proud of myself, you know? Oh, man. She leaned over and she said to me, I'm going to tell you something. And I was like, wow, this is it. They're going to either tell me where they get high in the bathroom, or she's got the secret key. There's something. And she said, Colleen, if you don't pick up, you won't get high. Now, I'm sure I heard that before. But I didn't hear it at the moment I needed to. I needed to hear it at that very, very moment. And I needed to really think it through. And I had to be like, think it literally. If I do not touch it, I can't get high. It was like, that's the whole sit on your hands thing. You know, I used to go to meetings and just think, God, please, if I could just stay here for 24 hours, don't make me go home. I can't wait till the next meeting. Just sit on your hands and ride it through. You're in for a roller coaster ride. Strap in. I used to hate that. I don't want to know that. I want you to tell me that there's going to be little flowers down at the end of the road, and yay, it's going to be easy. It's all good. And I was like, you know what? I got to take my kids over to my husband's house. He makes me, and you know, every time I go over there, I get high. And, you know, she's like, why don't you hang out with the recovering addicts today? You know, tomorrow, basically, because this was a night meeting. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, hey, Vinny. Not hey, Linda, not hey, Karen. Hey, Vinny. What are you doing tomorrow? And he said, I'm going to court. Want to come? And I said, sure. You know, like, because every woman in the world wants to go to court with a guy. It's so exciting. But seriously, Vinny talked about his girlfriend. He talked about God. He talked about praying. We went to court. We talked about Narcotics Anonymous. He shared his experience, strength, and hope with his 6 months clean. And I got my first day clean in Narcotics Anonymous, and I haven't used since. It's really important that we actually follow through on the stuff that we're going to say. You know, and I know that we're all human, we all fall short, and probably one of my biggest character defects is that I overload myself. And I can't help it. I don't know how to say no. I don't want to know how to say no to Narcotics Anonymous, you know what I mean? And I mean, there are things I don't do in Narcotics Anonymous right now because I've made other commitments in my life. Like I raised children, you know? Children. I'm a grandma. I'm an Uma. They call me Uma. I'm an Uma. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. It's like the greatest thing ever. I mean, I feel like I created them, you know? I would have missed out on that, I gotta tell you. That's not where my life was going. I couldn't put peanut butter on a piece of bread for my kids. I couldn't, you know, the VCR tape, Barney, over and over and over again. You know what I mean? God, making dinner, and then the guy coming over to deliver, and now I got to go to the friggin' bathroom, and the dinner just stays on the table and never moves. And for 2 days I got to look at that. You know what I mean? I don't live like that today. I wear aprons, okay? You come to my house and I'm feeding you. I'm a good cook, and I was not a good cook. My husband will tell you I was not a good cook. He wouldn't tell me then because he's a very intelligent man. What he says to me now is, wow, you've really gotten to be a good cook, but boy, you used to. Stop. You were doing really good. I love to bake. I have a color-coordinated kitchen. I mean, do you remember when people had to give you sheets to put on your kid's bed? You know what I mean? Do you remember when nothing, and there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong, but I don't live like that today, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I gotta tell you, the rise and fall of Narcotics Anonymous, it's not, I mean, I've had cars repoed with 12 years clean. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you make your bed, you lay in it, you get big eyes. Doing good, I mean, it's okay. Life on life's terms. I'm here. I don't use over that crap today, you know what I mean? But I take care of my children. I put my children right where they belong. You guys taught me that. You know what? They taught me that. My kids taught me that too, because you know what? I come into Narcotics Anonymous, and then my entire life becomes Narcotics Anonymous, right? And it's Christmas morning, and they're opening the presents, and the phone rings, and I have to answer the phone, because I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and I answer the phone, and now you're crying on the phone, now I can't hang up, and my little kids are looking at me like, what is wrong with you? It's Christmas. You know what I mean? I've come to learn that if my phone doesn't pick up, man, call someone else. Because sometimes I'm at the dinner table and I'm allowed to have dinner with my family. Like there's this like really weird balance. You know what I mean? Becoming a productive member of society. You know what I'm saying? It's just like my kids had to teach me that. I mean, I was in NA for a long time, and they were like, can't you just eat dinner with us? Where do I fit in? And I'm like up on the podium. I'm a great mom. Because they tell me I'm a great mom, and it doesn't mean I'm not a great mom, but I had to learn this balance, and it's so hard, because I was told anything I put before my recovery, I'd better be willing to lose. And you know what? I had to do it that way for the first 10 years, because I'd be dead right now. I had to do it that way. I had to go to meetings every single day. I had to bring them to meetings. You were their aunts and uncles. They were raised by you. They were raised by you guys. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't even look at half of you when I was in active addiction, so I thought I was better than you, Oh my God, I go off on tangents, I'm so sorry. Remember before when I was talking about my pyramid hair? Well, we were in Antonio, Texas. This gets connected to my children. My youngest child just moved to California. Why did my youngest child just move to California? Because I don't live the way I used to live. Because I live the principles that I live here today. And part of that is that I've learned that I'm allowed to dream, and I'm allowed to be anything that I want to be. I could be the best cook in the world, or I could work for a congressman. I could be a teacher, or I could be a garbage man. I can be the best of anything that I want to be, and I raised all my kids that way. They used to tell me, my older kids would be like, that's a lot of pressure. Because they'd be like snowboarding. I'd be like, hey, you want to be in the Olympics? You know what I mean? Like I went from one extreme to the other because my mother didn't. She'd be like, Mom, I just want to snowboard. You know what I mean? Like it's okay, So my youngest is my recovery baby, okay? And she is an actress. She is an actress. She's actually got paid to act. And her dream is to go to California. So because of the parents that you guys created in me and my husband, we were able to drive her to California and set her up and let her begin her dreams. I could throw up just thinking about it, but I promise I won't, no bucket needed, But I cry a lot. I'm so proud of her to have that kind of courage, but at the same time, I'm so proud of Tim and I. For having the love and the support that we have given her so that she can get out there and do what she wants to do. So we made a kind of like a little journey on our way. We stopped in Narcotics Anonymous meetings on the way back, and on the way there we went to Austin, Texas, and it was raining, and all of a sudden they started laughing at me. And they were like, oh my God, your hair is a pyramid. I just didn't want to forget that. Otherwise you wouldn't have been able to go home a whole person. Oh my goodness, but you guys have taught me so much, and I'm so, so grateful. I really am. I'm so, so grateful. You've taught me, I've made a lot of, I don't know if they're mistakes, It's just such a bad word, you know what I mean? But I've learned a lot in Narcotics Anonymous. I've been extremely judgmental. I've pointed the finger a lot. I thought, like the whole language thing, that it's all about delivery, in my personal opinion. That's what I've learned from this point on. And again, if there's anything I say that's really stupid, that's me. It's not Narcotics Anonymous. And if there's anything that I believe in that you don't believe in and it's pissing you off, call your sponsor, that's all. But when I first got clean and I came in here, and I told you I was a drama queen already, so when I came in and I started getting the lingo, I was like, hey, I'm a dually, doubly addicted, poly, cross-addicted slush. I was like, whew, all in one breath. And this woman came up to me and she said, can I talk to you? And I was like, sure. And she was like, you know what, man? You're an addict. And it's all about unity. And that's the difference between our first step and the other fellowship's first step. You can go wherever you want to go, but when you're here, respect where you are, So I was like, I called up my sponsor. I go, do you know what that a-hole said to me? And I rattled off what she said to me. And she goes, well, that a-hole's right. So I changed the way I identified myself, but then what happened was I became a 2-year wonder. And then I started being like, hey, yo. Oh, hi, I'm Linda. I'm an addict and an alcoholic. I'd be like, hi, Linda. Because I've got 2 years clean now. And I know how this works. And if you want what I have to offer, you'll speak the way I speak, walk the way I walk. I was told that I was right, but that I was wrong, and that I needed to be quiet until I learned how to speak to people. And I had to be quiet for a really long time. I learned that honesty is a spiritual principle, but brutal honesty isn't. There's a way I can tell you the truth, even the brutal truth, without being a vicious witch, And I had to really learn that. And a lot of it comes from fear, It comes from being afraid of losing what this precious fellowship is. It comes from, not wanting it to be disrespected. And what I tell people today, and again, it still pisses them off, but I know that my delivery is clear, and I know that my heart is in the right place, and that's what really matters to me. My intent is not to hurt you, but my intent is to share what was so freely given to me, and thank God that people had the balls to tell me the truth, instead of patting me on the ass and telling me it's going to be okay so I can walk out the door, dilute the freaking message, and kill myself. Because I believe that diluting the Narcotics Anonymous message kills people. That's my belief system. That's the way that I was raised. Find a fellowship and stick to it. I don't care where you go, but stick to it. Make it a home. So we know who you are. We know what you're talking about. When you come into the rooms, we see your face every day. And when you're not there, we're going to call you and we're going to say, what happened? Where are you? Because you were showing up. If you come in once a month and you spout bullcrap and then you disappear and tell me you're going someplace else, and then now you're going there and then you're going over there, because there's plenty of places that you can go. There's plenty of A's out there. They got them for everything, okay? Find a home and stick to it and give yourself a freaking break. You deserve it. You deserve to have the freedom that we have up here. You deserve this, man. Narcotics Anonymous is the gift of freedom. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I was so wrapped up in my own bondage. I was so confused by all the lies that were being told to me and by my disease and the low self-worth. And I came in here and you guys, for a buck in the basket for some service, for showing up, for picking up the freaking phone when you're not eating dinner after 10 years clean. I was kidding. You know what I mean? Like, I started to get self-worth. I started to build up. I like myself today. I love myself on very many, 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 many days. I still get uncomfortable with myself. I'm not, and it is what it is. And the stuff that I'm uncomfortable about is stuff that I can change. So, which brings me to a story. We're at that weebly wobbly place across the street. What's it called? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Cake like this big, right? Jeez Louise. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you directions later. So they're like, hey, you want to go out for cake? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to go out for cake. I just got off not eating flour and sugar for however long, and I had oral surgery, blah, 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 okay? So we go out and we order cake. So they bring out a piece of cake that can feed a small family, right? I got my big glass of milk and it wasn't quite full, and I made sure they filled it up. And they give me the cake, right? And I'm eating the cake. And all of a sudden, my friend, at the end of the table. She goes, Colleen, what happened to your cake? I'm like, what? I gave my husband a little piece. And then all of a sudden I was like, God. Gone. You know what I mean? Gone. Thank you for pointing that out. It was really helpful. You have 9 of us, 11 of us at the table. Colleen, where's your cake? Zoop. All heads turned my way. I have chocolate on my face holding the fork. You know what I mean? What cake? You know, this disease can come any way it wants to come when I allow it. You know what I mean? And it's just, what am I going to do about it? Am I willing to work the steps and traditions and all the principles that you guys have given me into every area of my life? Some days, no, I'm not. Who pays that price? Not you, me. I pay the consequences. That was one of the things I was taught very early on. Are you willing to pay the consequences? And very often I was like, yep, I am. I'm willing. I am willing. Oh, there's someone else's phone up here. You better call your wife. No, I'm just kidding. I want to talk about the love. Without the love, I wouldn't be here. I don't think any of us would be here. I get all corny and swishy about it, and but it really is all about the love. I know it's about the steps. I know it's about the traditions. I know it's about sponsorship. I didn't stay here this long by pretending something different. I don't live a perfect life, but I live a really good life. I'm the best possible person that I could be, and it's because of the way that you guys love me, and it's because of the way that you taught me how to love, and it's because of all the lessons that I learned about love. Oh, there was a man in our life for many, many years, and he said something that hurt my feelings. And he had a lot of clean time, 35 years. And he was he's a good man. He wasn't a good man, he's still with us. He's a good man. And he showed up for me unconditionally. I can't tell you how many times. And he said something really wrong. It was really wrong. And he really, really, really hurt my feelings. And I couldn't get over it. I could not get by it. I just couldn't get past it, I even tried to reach out, and it wasn't the same. And this man's our family, you know what I mean? My kid's wedding, and we were in a meeting one day, and we were reading out of the Living Clean book. And I don't remember what it said because I'd have to make it up. But it talked about being here for a while and not allowing people to make mistakes and putting them on a pedestal, which I insisted I never did because it's really painful to be on a pedestal. It really is. It sucks. Hi. Just kidding. All of a sudden I was like, shut up. And it just hit me. And I got to share that experience, strength, and hope out loud. I didn't really get it until I was in that meeting and I was sharing about it, how I judged him and cut him out of my life because he said something that hurt my feelings. Get over it, Colleen. He gave me more love, more unconditional love than I got anywhere in my life before I got clean, When I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I told you guys I was married. I moved out, but I was still married. When I got clean, I was still married, but I was separated. That man died of a drug overdose when I had 59 days clean. I had to tell my 2 children that their dad was dead, okay? 59 days clean. Luckily, you guys taught me how to show up. I had multiple coffee commitments. I brought my kids to meetings. I already felt like I was really a part of. Do you know what I mean? The night that he died, I was with my sponsor, that woman with 9 months clean who saved my life. And I was telling her how I didn't hate him, because all I did for 59 days was bash him. He beat me, he gave me a black eye, he. Nothing, no ownership whatsoever. I never told you I kicked him in the balls first. No ownership. Not saying it's okay, that's not what I'm saying, but no ownership. Didn't know how to look at myself, but I was able to say to her that he was a sick and suffering addict. My heart broke for him. I loved him, but I didn't love him that way. And it was just like that. Miracle, a God shot. Hours later, he's gone. After bitching in the room for 59 days about him, I got to sit with my sponsor and tell her that I loved him and he had the disease of addiction, only to find out hours later that he was dead. Do you understand what I would have had to carry around for that whole time if I never said those words out loud before I knew that he was dead? Do you understand the miracles that happen in here? How our higher power works in our life without us even knowing that the love that you guys gave me the ability to be able to start looking at myself and be able to tell the truth that I could have never done without you, that you would teach me how to be this parent and how to be this compassionate, caring human being. And I was able to see that he had the disease of addiction and that it was killing him. I was able to see that clearly. I would have never been able to see that without you guys. When we had his services, our friends weren't there. Narcotics Anonymous was. People showed up I didn't know. I didn't even know. I didn't even know they were there. I was in a fog. I was freaking late. I was late. I would go to meetings. People would give me cards. I would get up. I always had my basic text with me. I would get up. I would come back. There'd be a $50 bill in my basic text. There'd be a $20 bill in my cigarettes. I'm not saying get clean and we're going to give you money. I'm just saying, okay? You took care of me, you know what I mean? People said, clean my house and I'll give you this. Come to my house for dinner, bring your kids with you. It was just non-stop, unconditional love for me. And that has never, ever, ever stopped for me. I spoke at a convention about a year ago, about 14, 15 months ago. And when I got there, I was jammed. I was really jammed up. It was a bad fucking day. I said, fuck, I'm sorry. And I got up and I couldn't share my story. I couldn't share my truth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I was trying to buffer what was going on in my life, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's why I just said the F word. I'm sorry. I work really hard at that. Months before, my husband had gotten injured, and it wasn't good. It was pretty bad. It could have been worse, you know? Anyway, my problem is it his story or is it my story? You know, because when I first got clean, we've been married a long time, I made his story my story, just like I did with my husband when I first got clean, right? So I would get up and share the shit that he was doing and how good I was doing, and if he just worked the program the way that I worked it, you know? And then I grew up, right? So I was really locked and loaded, and all weekend, I couldn't process anything. I felt ashamed. I mean, people were coming up to me and they were like, oh, we were hoping you would share this, or, you know, because they heard, and I, you know, when I speak, it's just whatever comes out of my mouth. I'm really sorry. It's just whatever comes out of my mouth. I'm not a circuit speaker. It's just my life. And so he ended up going to a pain management doctor without my knowledge, started sharing his delusional truth with me, because the disease of addiction, once you put one in you, even if you need it, and sometimes we need it, I don't ever recommend anyone getting a hip replacement and not putting one in you. You know what I mean? But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. Once you put one in you, your thinking has shifted. And we have to be extremely vigilant no matter who we are and how long we've been here or how long we haven't been here. So this isn't about taking an inventory. It's just telling you what's going on. To bring it fast forward, when he finally came forward and he said, look, I need help getting off this crap, but I'm not ready to go back to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous because it's not my fault. And I was just like, whatever, you know. I had my support group, my sponsor. I was talking to a couple of women, and he was kicking on the couch. And after like 7 days, my girlfriend came over and I went out shopping for 3 hours. And when I came home, he was gone. So I called the hospitals. I called my friends, because that's what we do, right? And my friends love me. And my girlfriend comes, and my daughter's there, and we start driving down the road and looking in the ditches because he's on his motorcycle. And I call the police, and I say, missing persons report. And they're like, does he use drugs? And I'm like, no. you know. It was the police. So I said, can you ping his phone for me? So they ping his phone. And as soon as I got the address, I knew I was in trouble. So this is how God works, and this is how your love works in my life. So I had a commitment that night in my home group, and I called one of my members and I said, I can't go. I don't know where Tim is, and I don't know what to do. They said, no problem, man. We'll show up for you. We'll go take care of it. And I'm home, and I'm losing my mind. Hours. This was hours and hours. And my girlfriend's with me, and we're driving up and down the street. And then I called these guys, and I said, look, I got an address. And they said, we've been sitting here waiting for you. We're waiting for you to call us. We'll be right there. So they come, and they get this truck. And we drive to the address. And my daughter gets out of the car. She starts running, and that's not what I was going to do. And that's not what we're supposed to do, right? We're not supposed to do that shit. You don't go looking for someone use it. Anyway, she goes plowing through, and we find him. Moments from death. Gurgling. And the ambulance comes. My friends stay with me all night, and he's in the hospital, and it's been a long journey for him. He's such a good man. And he has a head injury. So he doesn't even know why he's there. He doesn't know. Every day my daughter flew in from New York, and she'd walk in the room. He'd be like, what are you doing here? She'd walk out to go to the bathroom. She'd walk back in. He'd go, what are you doing here? It was brutal. So I called up a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and I said, I need help, because I know how to ask for help today. I said, can you please tell people that we need them to come to the hospital and visit, but to not really talk about what's going on because he has this head injury. So this guy, we have this little area Facebook thing. This guy gets on Facebook and he tells them, Colleen and Tim need us. And I got this notebook, and I brought the notebook with me. And all these people start flowing in and out of the room. And they start writing him messages in the notebook. Because he doesn't even know. Like, he's just, he's present, but he's not really sure. And just keep coming. Bringing me food, showing up. We get him home. We go to the pain management doctor. They leave him on the medication because that's what he was prescribed. They wouldn't take him off. We go to the pain management doctor, and I say, you need to take him off of this. And he looked me in the eye, and he said, that's not my job. My job is to get him back to work. And I said, are you kidding me? So we old schooled it. People didn't leave my side. They came and they sat with us because they love us. They love him. He's a good man. They love me. I'm a good person. And they stayed with us, and they loved us. And they said, you call me anytime. We'll be there with you. That's the way it was. That's the way it was. This guy, he fell one day, and I didn't know what to do. And I called up this guy, this big guy. And he walks into the house. And he gets down on all fours, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He didn't pass out. He doesn't need mouth to mouth, you know what I mean? And he lays his head down on his chest. And he says, I love you, man. That's the kind of love that we get in Narcotics Anonymous. That's the kind of love that makes me want to keep coming back. That's why I show up. That's why I still go to meetings all the time. That's why you're my friends. That's why I could sit in the bathroom with you and you can tell me a story and I can understand what you're talking about. And he gave me permission on the way here. He said, I love you, and you share whatever you need to share. Do not hold back from me. Thank you. I love you too, Stacy. It took me a year to process this. A year. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for the steps. I'm so grateful for the men in our area. I'm so grateful for the work that he has put in to continue to grow, that we're allowed to grow here. It's not about pointing the finger and condemning and saying, what is your desire? It's not about saying he used and he came back and screw that. It's about It's about the individual, where they're at, and how we can help them. Whether they've been here for 30 years, this man's been coming to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous since 1987, continuously, never missed it. This is the man that married me. I was talking to Marty about it last night and said, these are my children. My kids never have called him anything but daddy. We don't do that stepdaddy half stuff. And I'm just saying what we do. They didn't have a daddy, and he became their daddy. This is the man that walked down the aisle with my daughter, that held our granddaughter in his arms, and then says, she looks just like me. This is the guy that sells his guitars if I want to go to a convention. This is the guy that loves me no matter what. And you guys taught us that. You guys gave us that. So don't think for a split second that the hug that you're giving someone when they're walking through the door doesn't matter. Don't think for a split second when you make that phone call to that person that you put on a pedestal and they're struggling and you don't know where they are. Don't wait till they come to a meeting and say, where have you been? Call them up and say, how are you? You know? Bring the newcomer out for coffee to Cracker Barrel or the diner or wherever it is that you go in Georgia. Just continue to show up. Just continue to do what was given to you. And if you're making errors in your life, you keep showing up until it gets better. You work the steps or die. You know? This is a 12-step program. It's like that for a reason. You know? If you don't have a sponsor, get one. You're being sponsored by an a-hole. My husband always says, Hannibal Lecter can sponsor me better than I can sponsor myself, right? And I mean, that's just the truth. This is a program that has suggestions. We have musts. You know, in order for you to get this, you must be clean. You know, if you're not clean, you're not working the steps. And by the way, drug replacement therapy, you're not clean. It's not my fault. Don't get mad at me when I tell you that. Okay? It's not my fault. And I'm not talking about medication and recovery. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what the hell I'm talking about. You know what the difference is between using and between not harming ourselves. For a long time, I harmed myself by having surgery and trying not to take pain medication. I am not a doctor, but there are things that I must do that must protect myself from myself. And bullcrapping someone isn't it, okay? So if you don't feel the love in this convention, you come back next year, because you're going to feel it again. If you're lonely today, look at what you're doing, not look at what they're doing, you know? Because that's what I'm finding out. Everything that I'm missing, I'm seeing, okay? It's 11:28. This meeting ends at 11:30. I've talked way too much. Thank you so much.
We'd like to thank Colleen for speaking. She's done a great job. And we can close the meeting. Everybody circle up with a moment of silence.
My sleeves are wet. I
A moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage I hope I got them turned
That
on.
one was still recording, but that's cool.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm